Welcome to Truly Rotten Potatoes, the interview series where I, Declan, hijack the podcast RSS feed to hold interviews with people I want to talk to, mostly about making films in Canberra. And today I'm sitting here with Craig Alexander. He is the writer, the co-director, the leading actor, and I believe the editor of the new independent feature film Snatchers. And as we've both made indie genre features in Canberra with very small budgets, and we've both recently seen each other's films, I thought it would be great to get into the nitty-gritty and talk about what it takes to make a film. So welcome, Craig.
Yeah, cheers, man. Pleasure to be here.
First question, what is harder, directing and acting at the same time or acting while your wife is directing?
Good question. Probably, let's see, acting and directing at the same time. I've been directed by Shell a lot anyway, so we've been working together for 25 years or something like that. We started a theatre company as soon as we finished school, or finished uni, and then ran that for 10 years and kind of honed our craft a little bit there. So that's the easy part, directing and acting. I don't want to necessarily on the next if I can get to a next one, I'm not going to do that. I'll do a little cameo role a bit, but I think it'd be more. I think it's more fun either side. Yeah, like as in one or the other. Yeah.
Did you know I've also co-directed a feature film with Shelly Higgs?
Yes, I did know that. Yes.
I only found that out while preparing for this interview. And I was like, I knew that name from somewhere. Yeah. I don't think we met in the making of it. And we worked on this film called Fragments, an anthology kind of weird feature about teenagers. Yeah. Teenagers. And I directed one of, I think, 8 little sections of it. But yeah, Shelly was one of them. So we are actually, I know exactly what it's like to work with Shelly as a co-director. Yeah. I've known you as an actor for a long time. Do you know where we first met?
I do recall doing was it the little random short we did via Screencraft?
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when that was. Got to be like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, mate. No, I don't know how long ago it was.
Yeah.
I have no idea about time anymore. I saw something pop up on my Facebook feed and it said 7 years ago. And I was like, that cannot be right.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
it was called Insecure Digital.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got embarrassed as a boss.
Yes. Yeah. You were like a David Brent type character. And I remember we just let you monologue and improvise and stuff.
Yeah. It was good fun.
Yeah. I think in the actual, because it was for Tropfest, so it was probably a 7-minute hard limit. And I'm
breakfast chips. That's what it is now. It's all coming back to me. Yeah.
I haven't seen it since we made it.
Yeah. I've only seen it. It's been a while since
some might know you as, is it Pozzo or Pozzo in Waiting for Godot?
Waiting for Godot. Yeah. Pozzo. I played that last year. I've done a lot of theatre. Yeah. Anyway, so Pozzo was last year with some very talented peeps here. Recently, I do a lot of work with the street theatre here in Canberra. So recently there was Story of the Oars, which was Nigel Featherstone's new work, directed by Shelley, actually that one as well. And just before that, Dylan Vandenberg's new work called The Chosen Vessel. So they're the most recent ones, yeah.
And Waiting for Godot was with James Scott.
Yeah.
From Perform Australia.
Yeah, which I'd known James because I used to teach at Perform Australia.
Ah, of course. Yeah. I feel like every actor in Canberra teaches a class at Perform Australia.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's a really good way to make a buck, and they were really supportive of, they wanted working artists, and so they're more than happy for you to ring up at the last minute and go, hey, I've got to go to Sydney for an audition, and they wrangle their end and don't worry about it. And that's kind of what you need when you're a professional artist, running freelance. You need those kind of jobs that can pay the bills in between, but still allow you to just drop everything and run. Because unfortunately, actors are way down the bottom of the barrel when it comes to everything. So we're the last minute things.
I used to do some filming at Perform Australia back when it was Carter, and filmed the first year students on camera. And for a lot of them, it was their first time ever acting on camera.
Yeah.
And we would do scene after scene, and it was always really heavy emotional stuff.
Because actors want to cry, man. Yes. Actors want to feel, and it's
They want to get aggressive. They want to get in someone's face.
Yeah.
And like bear their heart out.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I got to see like people that had never been in front of camera before and had just been in the class for, 8-10 weeks or something doing their first ones. And then I got to see some of those people 10 years later, like go on to do big things and stuff.
Yeah, sweet. So will you have been shooting when Brendan Kelly was studying there, or?
I didn't shoot with Brendan. He might have just finished before I did a few. I think I did 2 or 3 years, but a lot of people like Nick Stiane, who's in I think I filmed with him and people from his class. I actually ran into one of them at a work event just 2 weeks ago, and they were like, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like definitely the name and the face. And she was like, I was in that acting class and I had to do this scene where I was having cyber sex with someone or something. I was like, I don't remember that part, but I definitely remember you. Yeah. So I think basically everyone goes through the halls of Perform Australia at some point.
It's a shame they've actually downgraded a little bit and sold off the RTO side of it, the actual advanced diploma and all that stuff, and they're just running like classes now, I think is what they're like, as in just kind of basic classes, not basic, but as in you no longer get an advanced diploma or anything through them. So
because that was their thing, right? They were like the accredited
university
level.
Yeah. So I think Warehouse Circus actually bought all their training stuff. So Warehouse Circus is now running their acting programs.
Okay.
I think so anyway. Yeah.
So is acting your full-time gig, or do you have a moonlight as a public servant or anything?
I would have much more money if I moonlight as a public servant. No, acting's predominant, like acting and I kind of say storytelling because that's really what I do, because I also do a little bit of videography for all the arts organisations around Canberra.
Yeah.
So all the kind of promos for the street and all that kind of stuff. I tend to do... Once again, they just kind of let me have a lot of fun with those anyway, which is good. And I don't charge ridiculous because I know what the arts are like. So that's probably the only other thing. And then, I'm lucky enough that I just eke out a living. Usually I get a commercial or two a year, and that's where it kind of bumps the income up so I can chillax a little bit more about everything else.
What's the biggest kind of acting gig you've ever got, or the one that you were like, whoa, I get to go to Japan and be on an Amazon series or something like that?
I did. Is that the nice segue?
That's me doing the lawyer thing where you only ask a question you already know the answer to.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, actually. It was, for the Silent Service. So being flown overseas to do a project.
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah. I don't get those gigs in Australia, but supposedly Japan loved me, but they didn't get me back for season 2. So, but and that was really fun.
You were playing in like an American soldier, is that right?
Oh, like a submarine captain. I haven't actually seen it, so but I don't tend to watch a lot of my stuff anyway, so I'm not really surprised.
Have you seen Snatchers yet?
Too many times.
Were you bitten by the acting bug young? How long have you been pursuing it?
I remember when I was about 15 or 16, I must have just made the decision to be an actor. And I went and told my mother, this is, family trauma. I'm like, I'm going to be an actor. And she looked at me and went, you're not going to be one of those faggots, and walked out of the room. And so my parents have never seen me perform entirely in my life.
Yeah.
But the only concession to that was that I went and did some IT studies straight after high school because they made me before I went off and studied. So, but the idea was just to appease the parents there and save a bit of money for uni. So I ended up going to uni when I was like 21
and studying
acting.
Yeah. Where'd you go to?
Charles Sturt University, which they don't even have an acting degree anymore. They don't have any arts degrees.
Yeah, I knew a few people that did like the TV production thing.
Yeah, which was really good. Because the BA in acting was acting for screen and stage. They were pretty clear on that because the TV production unit was there. So you got a whole bunch of on-screen experience.
That's great.
In like a really well kitted out studio with some really talented people that, are still working on pretty big stuff these days. Yeah.
That's really cool. So when did you become or go from acting to also wanting to like make films, direct films, starting to make little shorts and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so straight after uni, so I did a BA. I did an honours year as well. So I did 4 years, and honours was directing and anyway. So I was kind of leading into directing, but more for stage. But film was something that I always wanted to do, but had like I grew up really poor, small country town kind of. So it was a bit beyond where I kind of pictured myself. Like I couldn't quite see myself doing that, I think. So I kind of went down the theatre route, which makes it sound like theatre's easier, but theatre's actually a lot harder. So when we graduated, because my wife went to CSU as well, and that's where we met. When we graduated, we set up a theatre company and just made a whole bunch of theatre for 10 years and toured it all over the country and everything. And so I kind of got lost in that theatre world, not lost in a negative sense, but just I got really quite involved in that. And it wasn't until I was kind of in Canberra, like I dabbled a little bit in Canberra when I came back. So we moved around all over the shop and ended up back here mainly because my wife's family's from here, and was working with Carla Conway and Nick Stannard at Canberra Youth Theatre. And Nick Stannard became a really good mate of mine, and he's one of the funniest bastards in the world. And I'd been really keen to make stuff anyway, and so we started talking about writing things together. And at that point, I just went, okay, so we shot a really bad web series, which was fun and ridiculous. And
This is Trainee Bomb Squad?
yeah, Trainee Bomb Squad. And I used that to kind of teach me a lot of the like editing and post-production and shoot, like, because I hadn't had any of that kind of experience. So I just used that and then just dabbled with like little shorts that I made with my kids and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of, yeah. And then, but the idea was always to kind of move to features, or at least, long form narratives.
Yeah.
In some way. And I'm also, but I still do the kind of theatre thing. So Snatchers was the kind of project that was more a case of like, well, if I'm going to make a movie, I might as well just make this one, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So Nick was your kind of partner in crime for a lot of the short film stuff.
Yeah.
And that has, I've seen the photographer, I've seen AKA Harvey Norman, and the Trainee Bomb Squad series.
Oh, so, you see, I forget they're actually online still. Yeah.
And so I got the idea that I'm like, this guy loves his buddy comedy kind of wacky duos,
absurd,
which I'm also a huge fan of. Yep. And how would you say those projects, the short films, differ from the feature film? And I want to hear like the whole scope.
A short film, for me, is a really good playground, and it sounds bad, but you can churn them out. Like you can actually go like most of those, like the photographer and Harvey Norman, were done as lights, camera, action films. So you've only got your 10 days, and we always never had any idea what we were going to do. Like we got the items and then went and wrote the script, so we could like really challenge ourselves to do it in that time.
Yeah, lights, camera, action, for anyone listening who doesn't know, is a scavenger hunt / short film competition where you get 10 days to film. You can't film before or after the 10 days. You have to submit the film. You have to include 10 items and locations that they give you and a theme. So it's Tropfest would have a very vague theme. Lights, camera, action has, you have really to film at all these places. And once you start doing it, it's very competitive. Usually about 30 to 50 people submit every year, because there's actual cash prizes. Like the only way you can win money in this town on making films. Yeah. So people take it really seriously. And when you first start, like I think the first one I did was at uni, and I just made something dumb with my friends. And then you see the ones that are winning best film and everything. And some of them are going home with like $2,000 cash. And the way that they were doing it was the opposite of what you just said. They're not just waiting till they get the items. They're planning it well in advance. Yeah. And they're making sure that their script has a malleable part that can include whatever items and locations are given to them. Yeah. So that's the ones who win play the game like that. But then there's always people that are like us that just like, let's just make something.
Yeah, well, I really like, and something I've learned kind of being an artist for a long time is the constraints help creativity. And so I love being thrown into something to find it, as opposed to like, yeah, I'm a bit, I don't know, probably ADHD in that sense that I can get a little bit unfocused and just go, oh, let's just, like, I'm better on a project that just kind of dives in and goes for it than a kind of extended planning period, which was one of the trickiest parts about doing a feature, because you have to.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And because of that, you're just running out of energy. But now it's like, hey, you have to still be editing this thing.
Yeah.
Hey, how's the edit coming? You got to do the sound mix. You got the colorist coming in soon. And
yeah. That's one of the biggest. Yeah, that's the one thing I really got frustrated with, or just burnt out over. Was post production. Like you know what it's like. You have to do what you have to do to finish the project.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the biggest things. Like you kind of learn is that you are like the finishing. A lot of people don't finish.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it's hard to just go, and you might get like, there's things in the movie that I'm not happy with, but you go, well, I have to get the end result. So that's what I have to do. You don't have the budget to go and reshoot entire sequences.
Yeah.
You just have to deal with what you've got and hopefully tell the story.
Well, let's get into Snatchers more specifically then. This is your co-directorial debut. You were one of the 2 leads in it. So you're on screen for, I'm going to say 75% of the film, if not more.
Yeah, probably,
And then you're editing it yourself. You're co-directing it with your wife. Just quickly give us the elevator pitch for anyone who doesn't know anything about Snatchers.
Yeah, so Snatchers is a black comedy thriller about a couple of old friends who try to make a quick buck by selling the organs of a fresh corpse they discover at the hospital they work at, but they get thrown a huge curveball when the corpse actually wakes up just as the scalpel touches flesh. And so I'd love to say hilarity ensues, but it's more about that kind of moral question of, do you go through with it or not?
Yes.
Because she's still worth a squillion. Yeah.
Now, you were the sole writer on the script, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I had lots of people kind of inform it.
Yeah.
But yes.
And how does the writing in Snatchers compare to Beckett? If you just come from
Well, Beckett is very unusual, and Beckett's an amazing writer. I don't know if you've ever read Godot. I mean, Godot in that absurdist theatre world does seem very, what's the word, like difficult to kind of get into. But once you start to study it and analyze what he's really saying, like it's phenomenal the depth that he adds. Snatchers is nowhere near that. I mean, some of the, like, there's some great stuff in there that I'm really proud of. And I mean, it's won some awards, the screenplay and stuff. So some people think it's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something about, one of the things I really learned with Snatchers itself is the next one I want to say even less. In some of the shorts I was doing, I was really good at cutting back on the text to try and say as little as possible, where I did one little thriller which was kind of about kids' revenge against against politicians not doing anything about the climate at all. And I probably didn't say quite enough because no one understood what was going on.
Yeah.
And so Snatchers probably, there's still some stuff. Like there's a lot unsaid, but I would try and say even less.
So in terms of inspirations, what are your comps for Snatchers? Because I got a bit of a Tarantino feel, a bit of a Shane Black, and then obviously you're wearing a Tarantino shirt. I got a bit of like the Jonathan Teplitsky, like getting square spit, kind of like Aussie, somewhat dumb criminals getting into situations. A little bit of Disappearance of Alice Creed. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah. It's great. Actually, a great movie. Yeah. When I first was shopping it around, everyone went, have you seen Disappearance? Because it's the same story. And I'm like, and it even has some elements. And I'm like, oh, damn you.
But it is like, if you're trying to put a feature together and you're like, what can we shoot with 3 people in a house? And it's got that similar kind of kidnap a woman, 2 criminals. What are we going to do with her? That kind of stuff. But it's like black comedy, it's dark, it's dialogue and character driven. What do you say? It's a bit like this, it's a bit like that.
Originally when I was pitching it, I said a little bit of, I think I'm trying to remember what I did pitch it as, like a little bit of Shaun of the Dead style comedy, as in catching that black comedy with a bit of the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Obviously, if you've seen the Autopsy of Jane Doe, it's actually much more horror it's actually terrifying, but a phenomenal film if you like horror.
Yeah.
So I was kind of pitching that it was kind of sitting in there. But it's actually because, and this is where it got a bit tricky when I was pitching it around, I was playing with a lot of kind of genre. And so there was a lot of kind of, like I wanted to sort of mess around with some gangster stuff. And so that kind of Guy Ritchie, Lock, Stock, that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, where you do like a character's telling you a story within the story.
Yeah.
And we cut away to a bunch of gangsters around like a poker table.
Yeah.
And they're kind of narrating it while in the scene.
Yeah.
Like looking at the camera and saying, so then I says to this guy,
Yeah. So I think that's how I was pitching it. I'll have to pull out the pitch deck again and have a look. But I think it was that kind of stuff. Like Lock, Stock meets the autopsy of Jane Doe with a healthy dose of Shaun of the Dead.
And where were you pitching this? Did you take it to the pitch fest that Screen Canberra did?
Yeah. I originally, I had actually developed it quite through ScreenPod when I did it, which must have been 2019 or 2020. We're in the pandemic because we're doing it on Zoom. So whichever those blank years we've blanked out. Yeah. So I obviously pitched it around a little bit there, but I didn't have the script finalized then. So it wasn't until the later pitch fest, which I saw you at and stuff, that I had the script in place, which I was pitching around. So that was more, and there at that point I'd already kind of lined up a bit of financing. So I was chasing sales and distribution more than someone here, give me some money to make the movie. So, yeah.
And did you have any success from the pitch fest? Did it introduce you to anyone or have anyone pick it up? Or
no, not at that point at all. Like, it was a little bit of interest from Odin's Eye, which we're still talking to, we're sort of back talking to again now for international sales.
Yeah.
But it was also a case of the guy, I can't even think of his name, Derek, who pitched there, who really loved it, left.
Oh,
It's one of those stories, you know.
Yeah.
And part of the, I mean, you're kind of different because you pulled in a couple of names, which you were lucky enough to do. We did go out to a couple of names, but we just didn't have enough money to offer anyone. And so anyone we went to was a no. And as you know, without a name attached, it's really hard to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So the inspiration for the story, it's semi-based on this old novel called The Body Snatcher.
Yep.
And that's from like the late 1800s or something.
Yeah.
So it's public domain, and that's is that part
entirely.
of what? So and you kept the characters' names from it.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering while watching it, I go, who would be called Fetz?
Yeah, and then
What kind of
supposedly
name is that?
it was someone in a review said we pronounced it wrong.
Oh yeah.
Like I think it's meant to be fetus.
Fetus. Yeah.
But no, like I don't care.
That's the Aussie twang.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So like let's talk the actual writing side of it.
Yeah,
so
man.
you write drafts in like 2020 or like in COVID times?
Yeah, so we kind of step back a little bit, and the original idea was a stage adaptation of that play.
Yes.
Of that story I was really interested. I'd just done some storytelling work, like I'd done a vampire play during COVID where it was me playing a theatre critic who gets, it's a phenomenal play called St. Nicholas by Conor McPherson. He gets sucked into a coven of vampires and becomes a familiar for this lead vampire in London and is bringing girls home. Like, it's a really cool little story, and it's purely that storyteller thing, which I really love. I love playing a character that just tells a story. And so I was looking for something else like that, and the Body Snatchers, I was looking through all the kind of classic horror stuff, and I think STC had just announced they were doing an adaptation of Dracula, and I was like, because that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then I found this one and went, oh, this is kind of interesting. And at the same time, I was really loving things like Black Mirror, and so I was really keen on the idea of contemporizing it and putting a little bit of a sort of late stage capitalist dystopian element to it. And so then it was just a matter of, putting pen to paper, which, as you know, is painful.
Have you written a lot of feature-length screenplays?
Not feature-length. I've written plays before. This is the first feature-length, and it's not like it's only an 80-minute script, so it wasn't that 3-hour epic.
Well, as someone who used to email Netflix and say you should have a category called tight 90s.
Yes.
And they finally did it at some point. I very much appreciate like an 80-minute, 90-minute movie.
Yeah. Well, I knew that that's what, because I was kind of writing it for myself kind of idea in that, like, you got to sort of picture your audience, and the best I could do was kind of picture what the movie I wanted to write. And I got 4 kids. I'm like usually exhausted. If you're going to go, like, it has to be a really good movie if you're making me watch more than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And there is brilliant movies, but yeah.
There's such a difference between, I really want to see that and it's late at night. And even if it's 8 o'clock on a school night.
Yeah.
And you go 2.5 hours. I'm going to watch this in like 3 separate sittings now.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch 45 minutes, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I'm not going to have the experience of watching it start to finish. But if it was 90, I could click it and watch it. Yeah,
I watched Goodfellas with my daughter. I'm trying to instruct her, and I love the kind of 90s, 2000s era of cinema. I just think it's the best stuff. But Goodfellas, and we watched it and stopped it just when he started to get into the coke trade.
Yeah.
And then came back, and I'd forgotten that it just kind of drives through to the end. So we stopped it because she had to go to bed or something.
Yeah.
And then there's like a half an hour where it just kind of runs through, and it just lost the whole drive of the film, breaking it up like that. So yeah.
When we did, me and my mates, I remember the runtime was like 86 minutes.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm like, oh my God, is that too short? Like, are we going to get in trouble? Is someone going to go, you need to make 4 minutes of credits, like add some random voiceover narration, or like stretch this out? But of course, it doesn't matter at all. There's no difference between 85 and 90. I think if you're under like 70, it still counts as a feature, but it doesn't fill up as much space as it should in terms of like cinema distributors and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, because I see it as that sort of thing of like, if you're thinking of a cinematic release, and that's not necessarily what I was thinking in the first place, but if you think of cinematic release, if it's around 90, you're like, that's cool. If it is that kind of 70, you're like, man, do I really want to pay cinema prices for a 70-minute movie?
Yeah.
And I don't know if people would do that these days. Like,
yeah. I think there are some, because I was freaking out about this at the time.
Yeah. No, I know exactly.
I looked some up, and there was like full Hollywood studio movies, particularly those spoof parody movies, like the bad ones, like Epic Movie and stuff. And these are like 75-minute run times, and then they're just putting long credits on them and stuff. And I'm like, all right, if they're doing it and they're going into cinemas around the world, then we're fine.
Because one of the very early edits was really short, but that was because we were missing, like, we had to do some pickups and stuff, and so, but like the sort of first cut was only about 65 or something like that, and I'm like, this just felt really short, and I knew there was probably like another couple of scenes that was going to be about 10 minutes anyway, so I wasn't too concerned. But then I saw a really bad horror movie on Netflix that was 68 minutes, and I went, oh, see, they're doing it. It's okay, it's fine. Yeah. I
also appreciated that you did something similar at the start of your movie, which is the premise you talked about, which is 2 guys have got this body. It's a Jane Doe. It's a dead girl.
Yep.
They're about to harvest her organs, and she wakes up. She's not dead. That's the premise of the movie. That happens in the first like 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the opening shot is her toe tag.
Yeah.
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 And I had the same thing when we were doing the zombie movie, where I'm like, people are clicking this because they know it's a zombie movie. They're coming to watch it because they know it's a zombie movie. So we don't need to do any of like, here's how the apocalypse started.
Yeah.
Let's just start with a character grabbing stuff and like running. And then afterwards, I'm like, there is something about giving some moments to the pre-story, or at least like getting to know the character before anything happens.
Yeah.
And I think you have that thing where it's good. It just starts off straight away. This is the premise of the movie, and this is the opening scene of the movie, basically. Yeah. It's not like, here's Mac and Fett's 2-day. I mean, it does go back, but you know, where it's just like, here's a montage of one of them brushing their teeth and stuff. Like, you can start any movie with he rolls out of bed. What's his house like, you know? Yeah. But I really appreciated just like the premise of the movie is how the movie starts.
Yeah. Well, because also like I knew that like the waking up of Jane Doe wasn't the big like midpoint reversal.
Yeah,
like
not
that's
a huge
not
twist.
the actual story. And
that's the main thing is like, if people are watching this, they've seen a trailer, they've read a log line, and the log line says this part. So you're like, why don't we get straight to that part? And then everything can happen after that. If you added 10 minutes of a first act where you introduce the characters before this happens, I think in this day and age, it's like,
yeah, there was a lot.
I already know that's happening. I'm waiting for it to wake up because I read the log line.
Yeah, a lot of feedback. Actually, I think I was talking to the distributor the other night at a screening because he was there, and he was talking about you've got, 5-10 minutes to grab them. Like you have to do that these days because no one has an attention span. Yeah. And like, to be honest, like in one of the early drafts, a lot of that sort of, because it tends to do that kind of thing. And then the flashback to get you there in Snatchers, which is technically Act 1, like is the part I'm least happy about. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I really like I actually really love great actors in a room with great dialogue, just, going at it.
Dealing with the problem of the movie.
Exactly. And so everything else just feels like we're just getting, and even when we were shooting, because when we were shooting at Narrabundah for all the hospital staff, we had so many issues there just trying to keep up that I had to keep saying to the team, like, you just got to remember that the hospital is just about getting us into that warehouse space. So don't, because Luke Patterson, our DP, likes to get really specific about things. And I'm like, no, dude, we just need to get this and get out of here.
Yeah. Well, Luke is a great DP and it looked amazing. I think that was one of the things that was the strongest about it. Was
definitely.
The lighting, the mooding, it was really well done it didn't look super cheap.
Yeah.
It didn't look like what I'm assuming was a very low budget because I know it's a local film.
Yeah. Luke and the team did a phenomenal job. I think he's incredibly talented and I think he wanted to sort of make it a good calling card for him, which is great because you need, especially when you work in that low budget, you need people that want to do a better job than that you're paying them for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you found this, but I found a lot of people in the industry, when we were pulling teams together, it is really about the money. It's like, what are you paying me? Are you paying me, what are you expecting from me for the money? It's like, whereas Luke came on board, yes, we paid him his fee and all that kind of stuff, but he was also about trying to make it the best film he could possibly make.
Yeah. I think Canberra does have that because we don't have the same level of industry. We don't have the same expectations where people are just going from job to job. Yeah. And so they're like, I don't really care as long as you pay me what my rate is from the last job. There is a bit more of a community feeling.
I mean, because we had some cash, we actually, a lot of people, and because Shell and I were really coming from theatre background, I'd only done some shorts, and I've been on plenty of sets as an actor, obviously, but there wasn't necessarily that community spirit. There wasn't necessarily we'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
From anyone. Until we got a week or two into the shoot and people realized that it was good and we were really quite, because it was an incredibly fun set, and so people kind of came around then and helped. I mean, and we still had plenty, but several people come and volunteer their time and stuff, but a lot of the crew were just give us the money, mate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So when you were structuring the story, what was the tone you were thinking? Because there is a real mix in this. There's the kind of thrillery horror, real drama of what's going on.
Yeah.
Then there's some gallows humor. There's should this be scary? Should this be funny? There's surreal moments.
Yep.
And then there's I would call them silly, but they're tonal breaks.
Yep.
There's a musical sequence.
Yep.
There's those flashbacks we talked about where the kind of characters are telling stories and looking at the camera and saying, and then I said to this guy. And then, of course, the almost infomercial background story to the main female character where she was a scientist and and so how were you thinking about those tones and trying to make them work together while writing it?
Yeah, well, part of the kind of, I don't know how well it works together, but some of it, the idea was that I was really playing around with stories and how we tell stories to each other. And so all those kind of flashbacky moments that you're talking about are specific characters' interpretations of the story they're telling. So,
right, yeah.
And not necessarily true. And so to kind of really push that they're actually all lies, I wanted to elevate them and heighten them. So that's why they're actually quite absurd. And there's hopefully I've given you the right screener, but the aspect ratio shifts and the colors are actually more vibrant, and the whole feel of those moments are meant to be really different because they are just bullshit stories these actors are telling. And I wanted the audience to really know that. I'm not quite sure if everyone quite gets that, especially with the dance number. Like the dance number is just Fett's interpretation of what happened when he wasn't in the room, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was that idea that it all kind of comes back to the stories, and it's that longer kind of storyline of Fett's I'm trying to spoil it, love for Mac that he's been hiding as well. So there's all these kind of stories that are told to kind of protect themselves. And so Jane tells different stories to both men about how she ended up there. And we just go, you know what, forget it, I'll just have a lot of fun with those. And specifically with the Jane Doe, it was about taking those female tropes that these guys expect her to play and her playing them for her own means. And fucking around with them a little bit there. I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a movie where a woman puts on a pumpkin head and gives some pumpkin head to someone. I found all those, like, I like a big swing, a big tonal swing. Yeah. And I can see people being like, where'd this come from? What? Yeah. They're dancing now, you know? Yeah. But I think when you watch something like that, you just go, well, why did they put that in there? You know, there's a reason. They didn't just go, should we end this with a dance sequence? You know, it's like, it's all planned and it's there for a reason. So you could go like, think about what the filmmaker was thinking and what they're trying to do with it. And then you can be like, it still didn't work for me, or that was cool. I never knew what was going to happen next because of things like that. Yeah. And that was, part of it. We kind of talked about influences like Tarantino and Edgar Wright and Guy Ritchie and stuff, and like any of that kind of people. Like one of the things I love about them is that they kind of never let realism stand in the way of telling a good story. Yeah, literally telling a good story, and that's what I love about some great films. Like where you can just like Tarantino does a great. Kill Bill Volume 1 is my favorite film. And I just love that he goes, okay, now we'll tell this in cartoon, anime. Yeah. Like, or the Kung Fu training is so Kung Fu. Like it's so stylized and has a lot of fun. And I think the one thing I'm not sure I quite grabbed is establishing that tonal shift, because it kind of hits a couple of times where people are like, whoa, and thinking that's actually real. Like we never quite captured that these stories are made up, and people, I don't know. I'm not sure how I would have approached it differently, but like I think there was a space for us to really make it a bit more obvious that these were bullshit stories. Yeah, right. Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah, I think that's the hardest part of directing anything, is knowing what the audience will be thinking and feeling at any point. And you can say, I wanted them to be thinking this, and realize that it was this. And if they don't get it, it's just like, what did I need a reaction shot? Should the music have been different? Yeah. Should we have put some blurs around the edges so it felt like a dream? You know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we toyed with a couple of things, like with the colorist and with the aspect ratio shift, which actually didn't happen until a couple of screenings we'd seen. I'm like, I was kind of thinking, maybe if we did that might help a little bit more obvious. But then I don't know how many people kind of notice those sort of details. I think it was a bit too... it's one of those things, like it's a subjective medium. Some people get it and some people just don't. When you were pitching it or first developing it, did you have like a target audience demographic in mind, or were you like, I'm just writing for me and what I like? Yeah, well, just, for me and what I like. But that was the kind of audience I was thinking about. It was sort of like that, I'm Gen X, that kind of Gen X crowd that, and specifically are looking for a 90-minute fun thriller on a Friday night when they're tired. Like that's exactly what I was looking at. And then obviously when the EP and the distributors come on board, they try to hone that a little bit more into the sort of film festival crowd and all that kind of stuff to make it a bit clearer, because there is so many kind of, I guess, cinematic references that I'm throwing in there, that a knowledge of cinema and how it's kind of told helps. But it was definitely, it was kind of for me and Nick Stanner that, if we enjoyed it, then I knew, and he loved it. So I was kind of like, oh, sweet. We've kind of, Yeah. when I was putting my movie together and rewatching it recently for the 10-year anniversary, and I noticed this in yours as well, is that they're both very claustrophobic movies because by design they are a few people talking in a room.
Yeah.
After seeing the cut and feeling how claustrophobic it felt, we actually did a pickup shoot like 2 months after the main shoot where we did one extra day, and we were like, let's introduce these characters in an action scene and get a whole bunch of extras and go shoot at like a local shopping area just so we get outside the building, because in the first cuts they're inside the building, and we also added quite a few establishing shots that are just like time lapse of a mountain or a sun goes down or whatever, just because otherwise it really was like they don't leave this building and it feels small.
Yeah.
I felt like yours had a bit of that as well, and I was wondering if you ever thought of doing like an exterior shot where you go like, look, we're going to do one VFX shot where I get some shot of the city or a Tokyo skyline stock footage.
Yeah, no, we
VFX it, and
Luke and I had talked a lot about that because we both thought exactly the same thing. Like, it does feel like it needed some traveling shots or something to kind of build that. Then there's a couple of scenes that we just didn't get to shoot because we ran out of time, which were a little bit more of that, like the kind of capturing a little bit of the warehouse space and that kind of just like the dystopian world there. And we wanted a little bit more of the like that external hospital that we would have probably done some VFX-y stuff to build it out a little bit more. But it was a conscious decision afterwards to go, actually, no, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a case of, yes, we could go and shoot some stuff, or we could we could pull in some stock footage and try and make it work as well. But I felt like it didn't necessarily add enough to kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Not
definitely.
that it didn't need it, like it would have been great to have it, but I just felt like it didn't quite add enough for the effort, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So you've got two male leads, Mac and Fetz.
Yep.
When did you decide which one you were going to play?
Pretty early on. Like, I kind of knew, I was writing it originally for me and a friend, and we'd just done a production of Summer of the 17th Doll, and they're very, if you know Summer of the 17th Doll, Ray Lawler, Mac and Fetz are very much the two male characters there, which is a pretty standard kind of male character friendship. You know, the larger kind of stoic guy and the funny little clown guy kind of thing fits into so many kind of stories. And so I kind of knew that was the way to do. And I as much as like, I really love Fetz. Like, I think he's a great character and a lot of fun, and Justin Hosking does an amazing job. I always had a little bit in my back going, man, maybe I should have played him because he's the cool one.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, he gets the kind of funner moments.
Oh God, yeah.
And you're a little more stick in the mud serious.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could imagine you get halfway through being like, he gets to do everything fun, and I'm just standing here being like, come on, man.
Yeah. And but I also want to, I kind of wanted, like, I don't mind that too much because it was just you just do what works best for the story. And like, as much as they're both probably very much me anyway, just both sides of the coin regardless, I wanted the idea that Fetz especially, like, it would be more tragic, Fetz's end, if you liked him more than the other guy.
Yeah.
And so that was very conscious in the start to make Mac not as likable as Fetz is.
Because you wanted to be the last man standing.
Well, no, I wanted it to be more tragic that Mac is the last man standing. You don't necessarily want him to be the last man standing.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being, and there was something we were playing around with, which we didn't quite nail, but that idea of Mac being the good guy who is actually the bad guy. And so that was what I was actually aiming for, was that idea that he kind of, like, when it kind of gets to the end and he realizes that he is the bad guy, that it's clear from the start that he was. And part of that is why he's a bit more like, yeah.
So when did this film become real to you in terms of like financing or how you got it funded and you're like, we're actually making this now?
Yeah, probably when we got we got a financier, like an investor that was happy to loan us against the producer offset.
Yeah.
And once that was secured, we knew we had enough to do what we needed to do, or what we could do. Obviously, we ended up spending more money because that's just how it works. But once that happened, it was like, damn, yeah, this is going to happen. And then, probably when you lock in dates was probably, or when we casting, because we originally had someone else lined up for Fets, but just couldn't lock him down well enough. And there'd been a few conversations with other people that had worked with him, and that was a name who were like, you should be really careful about that. So we went, okay, yeah, we'll, just go cast based on pretty much exactly if we can find a great Fets, we'll just go with that as opposed to a name. And once we locked in Justin and Hannah, that's when it started to feel like, oh, damn, we're doing this.
How many days did you shoot?
I think it ended up about 25 for principal, and then like a day and a half of just random pickups that we needed to do.
How much later were the pickups?
Probably, let's see, we shot in May, and I think the pickups were in October.
Yeah. So you had a bit of a cut, and you knew
what
you were filming?
Exactly what we were. And we could, and then... Yeah, and we only had a tiny little bit of money to do those pickups, so we were really strict on what we had time and money to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was this the first time you'd worked with Luke as DP?
I'd been on sets with him as an actor before, and I'd seen his work, so I knew he's talented, pretty much. And then when I was kind of umming and ahhing about who to pull in as a DP, specifically Canberra based, it was him and a couple other guys, and I went, actually, I think Luke might be the right one, and had a chat to him, and then he told me he'd moved to Sydney, and I went, oh, yeah, man. Which he's back now, but it was just kind of, there's something like, I think a lot of things, because I've been around for a while, that makes me sound like I'm really old, but I'm not. Gen X man. Like a lot of things, if it's like flow means a lot to me. Like if it's easy, if you're bashing your head against something, it probably means it's not the right way to go. And so if it flows easily, I find that's when things, like I try to follow that flow a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I guess being an actor is good because you get to see who's good to work with, who just stays focused, who loses their shit.
Yeah.
Who's too slow, which is always a problem with the DP. They want to get that lighting just right.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of I mean, that's always the case. I think lighting and camera are always holding everything up from every set I've ever been on. Next time I just did a couple of episodes, or an episode of a new series coming out on Stan, and the first was such a cranky old bastard, but we were so on time.
Yeah.
And I would make sure I would do that. I would get a cranky old bastard.
Yeah.
That just puts the fear of God in everyone. Yeah.
I remember on ours, the first just had such a look of exhaustion and like frustration. And it was because the camera guys are always just five more, and then we're ready to go. Yeah. And they come, hey, it's been 5. And then you see them whisper and they go, oh, we're just tweaking this thing. And the guy's like, and then as the director, you're kind of like, look, I got to wait till they say it's ready.
Yeah.
Every now and then you got to walk in and go, all right, guys, can we shoot? Because sometimes they'll finally get it ready and then they'll just start chatting or whatever. And you're like,
can we do this?
All right, can we roll it? And they're like, yeah, whenever you want. You're like, oh, come on. Yeah. So you edited it yourself. Like what program were you cutting on? What was your
DaVinci Resolve. So I've been working Resolve for a long time. Yeah.
And what was your editing schedule? Are you just doing nights after work? Are you doing work on weekends?
No, after the shoot, I took a couple of weeks off after the shoot just to kind of recover, because it is exhausting. And I got really sick, and so after that then I dove in, and I didn't actually have any work on at the time.
So you just getting up, staying in your pajamas, editing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like get the kids to school, go and edit, and then Luke and I. So Luke was helping out on the edit as well. So we'd be feeding things back and forth to each other.
I was going to say you need someone to feed it back to if you've directed it, started it, and then you're editing it yourself. That is a hard task.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do that again either. Like, I don't think.
You just don't want to look at your own face for
long. And everyone had recommended, like everyone had said that, but it just came down to, money. Like I had to, it was either, even like Luke kind of volunteered, but it's like, I can't expect you to do it for free either. And he's like, I can't do it for free because it's going to take all my time. And so it was a case of me just going, okay, I'll do it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is you kind of being like, it's not necessarily bad. I think writers should edit at some point. Like, I think they should edit their own work to get used to that process and see what you can actually do to a performance and to everything afterwards. But I would prefer on the next one or something just to go palm it off and let someone else show me a cut and give some notes.
When you're acting, how do you know when you've got it? When are you just little things like, oh, my head should have been turned a little more to camera or something. You can't really see that. You can have a stand in and you can set it up, but then you've got Shelly watching the monitors.
Yeah.
But you have to basically rely on her to say, hey, your eye blinked weird in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I also had Ashish and Luke had been hit up that I was on camera. So it was obviously, like, I didn't ever watch playback unless it was something really vital that we needed to nail.
Yeah.
Like, I just
trusted. Timing thing.
Yeah, like, unless that, because I kind of had the edit in my head anyway. So, and Luke and I had done quite a lot of work on storyboarding and everything. So we kind of knew exactly how it was going to go together. So if the three of us, like if the four of us, so Ash, Luke, myself and Shell, like if those three were happy, then I was happy and we'd move on.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's still...
But then you get in the editing room and you go, I would have loved to have put a bit more spice on that line or...
Yeah. I mean, we'd done... Yeah. I mean, there is a few moments in there that, I would have probably done different, but it was just, like... You can kind of make anything work in an edit. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just kind of... And, like... I've been an actor for a long time, so I kind of knew what I was doing. Like if I was a newbie actor, I would I don't know how you would do it. Like but I'd done enough to kind of, and I trusted Shelly and Luke enough that whatever landed. So even in the editing suite, there's a few moments where I'm like, oh, maybe that's not right, but at least it tells the story, and you separate yourself enough to not really care.
What about the exploration side of acting? That's so a director might watch it and go 30% faster or play it like this. How are you making those decisions where in the moment you're playing the scene and then you might go, maybe I should be angrier in this one. Maybe I should be calmer in the, Are you making those and saying, all right, we're going to do one again and I'm going to play it like this? Or is Shelly saying, hey, I want to see it like
a little bit of both. Yeah. And we also made sure we had rehearsals. Like a good chunk of rehearsals with the three leads.
Yeah.
Like we didn't rehearse enough with everyone else. Like that was something we learned that we'd make sure we did a bit more of next time as well. But the three leads were there we spent a good week just rehearsing with them. So we kind of knew where those key kind of beats that we had to hit. And then it was on the day playing around with whatever kind of felt. And as an actor, I think it's really important to just, I don't like too much prep, especially for screen stuff. Like you just want to go in and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then, worry. And I think more than anything, you're just trying to give a couple of good takes to let the editor deal with, which unfortunately was me. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I'm not precious about it at all. And
how often are you directing in the middle of a scene with your scene partner? They say a line and you go, actually yell it at me, I want to that's how I want to respond to this bit, and you're doing it, like, are you in the middle of takes correcting them at all?
No, because I think you have to just kind of drop in and out, like you're either acting or you're not. I mean, I've seen I've been on sets where sometimes, other actors will kind of direct you because they're not on camera.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it, but it's also like, I just, want. It's that flow thing. Like you just got to drop in a flow and hope that it lands. And that's where one of the good things about doing like being on a film set is really fun if you're in one of those kind of head roles because you're busy.
Yeah.
If
you actually have something to do the whole time.
Yeah. Because
people keep coming up and saying, do you want it like this or like this? Hey, I'm gonna,
Yeah, but as an actor, you tend to just sit there for a long time waiting.
Until they say we're ready.
Yeah, and then you've got to kind of hit it.
And,
And so it actually helped a lot to just be dropped into it because you didn't have to overthink or anything like that. You just had to deal with it. And, sometimes it nails and sometimes it doesn't, but, that's just kind of the way it works.
Have you seen the clip of the making of Tropic Thunder where there's two cameras rolling, one's on Ben Stiller and one's on Robert Downey Jr. playing Kirk Lazarus, and they're like face to face, and Kirk Lazarus is saying all this crazy funny stuff. It's like a really intense moment. And Ben Stiller's directing and acting in the scene. And so he's like keeping a straight face and then still directing every now and then. Like it's like this really weird scene where they're playing this scene, but he keeps going, all right, a little bit faster. Okay, say that bit again. Oh, say this. And he's like while they're like face to face in this thing. Yeah. That's what I'm picturing with you.
Well, no, I didn't do that at all. I think, like
you're too much of an actor that when you're in the scene, you
have to be in the scene. Yeah, is what I felt, especially because I'd lined up Luke and Shell and stuff to kind of manage that side of things. But even when I've like worked with others, like I mean, if you cast well, you don't have to do too much. Like you can just kind of like if you know where it's going. And you've done the work and you've done some rehearsals so the actor knows where it's going, then you shouldn't have to give them too much direction. Like most of the screen stuff I've done as an actor, like I rarely get direction. Like, and it might just be, can you just stop on that mark?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
the direction is a lot more like not creative and more technical.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, can you use your left hand now?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of the, like if you've got decent actors and they've cast right, I think that's the biggest thing. You've got to make sure they're cast right. Then it's just like you just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And then if you know it's going AWOL and
rein them back in a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it helps being the writer as well, as you probably know, like what that scene's meant to be about. So it's easier for you to kind of explain or get them to where they need to go. And also, if you know what you can do in an editing suite, you also know that, I'm only after that bit.
Yeah.
So you do whatever the hell you want. And I just need you to nail that bit.
I remember a moment doing my film where there's 5 people in a room and they're all talking. And one of the actors said, can I like, what do I do when they're not, and I'm like, it doesn't matter because the camera's going to be on them and we're going to cut around. But they're like, well, I want to be doing something. Can I walk around? Can I pick up some stuff, And I'm like, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
And so they just wanted to be active. And that was something I hadn't thought of because I was very inexperienced and had just written, it's 5 people around a table talking.
Yeah.
But I now understand that and I would write a little towards that.
Yeah.
Make sure that like everyone has something to do. Because they don't just want to wait 90 seconds till they say their 2 lines and then they wait another, while everyone else is talking.
Yeah, I also think that's part of the actor's job to be alive in those moments anyway.
Yeah.
Like, some of the best acting I've seen in the world is when people aren't the focus.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so that's part of your job as an actor is to be alive in those spaces with whatever. And I guess that's what they're trying to do is like, give me something to do. It's like, well, no, you as the actor are meant to bring something in that space. So,
do you have any amazingly funny stories from the set of Snatchers?
I wish I did have amazingly funny stories, but
what about things that went wrong? Like, I'm sure if you would have had a day where
everything went wrong. Yeah, everything went wrong. The first day was
brutal.
First day was a bit brutal. Everyone's excited and keen to start, and
it takes 2 hours to get the first shot up.
Yeah, especially because the first shot was the shot in the poker room with mustache and makeup had forgotten the mustache.
Oh no!
And so
that's his character's name.
Yeah, and so, and I don't even know if they had one, like they hadn't just forgotten it. I think they'd just forgotten all about it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there had been, pre-production, we'd talked about it multiple times and they had to kind of wrangle one somehow, but that held us up a lot.
Yeah.
On that first day, which is so you want to kind of get some things in the bag and just kind of
you want everyone to go, shot one's done, and everyone's like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And that's a scene that has a bunch of extras, a smoky room, a lot of stuff in the set. Like,
So that was, but we'd already, but the good thing there was our production designer, Imogen Keane, had done an amazing job. So everyone was excited when they walked in and saw the set because they were like, oh, this looks freaking insane. And then Luke frames up and you're like, oh, this looks freaking insane. And so that kind of enthused. So we were okay with that. But makeup was the one thing that really held us up a lot, actually. But I think there was a point where we had to extend the shoot a couple of days because we just weren't going to do it. And that was the stressful time because it was about, like, obviously you line people up for their certain period. And it was a case of, who we're going to lose and who can do. Obviously, we paid everyone to do the extra time, but it was a case of like, we need another 2 days.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, I'm going back home. I'm doing
Yeah. So we lost a few people there. So those last 2 days. So all that stuff upstairs with Jane and Mac and Jane Fairs was shot in those last 2 days. And it was the crux of the whole piece because that's really what sets up, Act 3 entirely. And so that was the terrifying part. I remember because Sebastian Jan and Danae Gracie were kind of production coordinators. They're producers. They were given producer credits as well, but they were kind of production coordinators for us. They pulled me aside when we're in the middle of the night shoot in the kind of downstairs at DFO there, or Canberra Outlet Centre, whatever it's called these days, and said, everyone's worried we're just not going to get a shot, and what are we going to do? And I went, just leave with me. I will deal with it in the morning because it's like 4:00 and you're having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a like, oh, shit. But
do you say get the shot or get the scene? Like was it the shot you were about to do, or was it something tomorrow?
It was about like they were starting to get concerned that we weren't actually going to get the film.
Oh, right. Because you're the last days and you're like, we got too many scenes to do.
Yeah. And we'd like a few days had just gone way over just because that's just what happens.
Yeah. Because the lead actor just wanted too many takes,
Yeah. But yeah, so those 2 days upstairs were very much at like 2 and done. Like you got 2 takes. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
there's not
something goes technically wrong, bad luck.
Yeah. Or it's you saying, we're going to reshoot that stuff from last week because I feel more handsome today.
Yeah, you can never worry about that stuff. Yeah. But it was incredibly fun. Like we were laughing all the time, and having a ball, and like it's a really good crew. We all got along really well, and like it was just good fun. I remember the time there's that one shot where Justin opens the bin and whacks himself in the face, where we all pissed ourselves laughing that night because it was like we just finished the big shot where the big crane shot where it goes down onto the corpse, and everyone like it took a while to get that, even though I can't quite a lot of it, but it's just what
was
happens.
she wearing real eye contacts or was that VFX?
No, she had contacts. Oh, there's a little bit of VFX just to tighten them up and make sure there's no sort of blinks or anything, but we finished that and we were like, oh man, we're not even going to get this other shot that we really need to get. But Johnny Waterhouse had already had gotten the grips to go and set up for this next shot. And because it was, oh shit, we ran out and did it. And it was hilarious that we were all just pissing ourselves laughing. So there's the fun things, those kind of moments where things like that happen. Or the scene where we carry the body across, the very kind of slapsticky scene where we drop the body bag and stuff, is a replacement for an entire sequence, which I was talking about before, that was going to be the big establisher of this sort of, post this dystopian warehouse district and all this kind of stuff. So that was fun because we just went like, let's just do this. Let these guys just be idiots and
So you had to extend the shoot a couple days.
2 extra days.
And is that just you going into your pocket to pay for those days? Is that part of the stress as well?
Yeah.
Was it a contingency where you're like, if it comes down to it, this is something we will do? Or was it like they just tell you, hey, we're not going to finish today can you find the money to get us going again?
Well, because Shell and I were producing as well, we knew where we were at.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was more a case of the school was pretty specific about the scheduling because we had to shoot in school holidays. And so that was very limited. So when we'd scheduled it to kind of like in the schedule, it had worked somewhat, but we didn't quite get what we needed to get before we had to jump out and go to the school, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so we were behind, which meant that we had to, we were just behind on those two scenes those two sequences upstairs, which were quite, as you know, quite extensive. Like that's the full chamber thriller stuff there that needed to be nailed.
Yeah.
And so it was a case of we either shoot them or we don't have a movie. Because there was no way we were going to get the warehouse we were shooting in again. There was no way we could get everything back together to make that work again. So it was just a matter of, we'll just have to find some money. And
we had the same thing, but with one of the lead actors. And it's like, you either make it right now and you squeeze it in, otherwise you lose them. And then you're not out any money, but you have to try and rebuild it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you go, maybe we could do it in 6 months, or maybe we give ourselves another year to try.
But then you're never going to finish it.
And then you know it's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't, I reckon that's the biggest thing. If you don't get what you need to get, like a few pickups make sense, but if you don't get principal
story stuff that gets us from here to there,
then it's never going to get made.
Yeah,
like it's never, and especially because we're working in budgets that it's not like spend another couple of $100,000 and bring everyone back for a reshoot.
Yes,
that you've paid the production designer to recreate everything. You know, like you just cannot afford to do that.
Yeah, it brings up a good question, which is, what is success, and whether you define success before you start? Because I think a lot of people would think when you make a movie, success is making tons of money and winning awards and everyone loves you, and then you get to make the next one. But if you're anything like me, success is, can we get to the end of this shoot and have something, just anything that is watchable?
This story, exactly. And I think
it starts off grandiose and you go, this is going to be great, we got everything. But as you're shooting it and it's a reality of taking creativity and imagination and putting it into real life, and people are standing here and you go, we're running out of time here, I got this location tomorrow, it's raining, so we can't shoot that outdoor stuff, so maybe we can do it indoors with it. And you're just trying to get it and by the end of it, and I assume you're maybe in that end of the marathon exhaustion point where just finishing it is the success. Yeah. It's like I trained for the marathon and now I'm 3/4 through and my legs are killing me and I may have twisted my ankle back there. Yeah. Is that how you feel now? Because you're in the cycle, the part of the cycle that's like the film's wrapped, it's edited, the post is done, you've screened it in some places, you're about to have some cinema releases, you've had a little few festival screenings. How do you feel about that? What is success to you? Where is the film sitting at the moment for you?
That's a really good question because I struggle a lot as an artist anyway. Like I really struggle, and like with any of my work, whether it lands, like if I feel okay with it, like if I don't, and there's shows where I've done where it's like if I'm not completely in flow in a stage show, for example, I feel like I've failed. Like entirely, like that was shit. People will be like, it's great, it was still great, and they'd be like, the best performance ever.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because I just didn't feel like I hit it. And so with a film, it's a bit of a different beast because I think
some days it can hit.
Yeah.
Some audiences it won't.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I think there's definitely that, some people hate it, some people love it, some people are just like, it's a movie. And, you know what I mean? Like it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so I think, once we got into Raindance in London, that was a bit of a like, oh, damn, we did something pretty cool because other people internationally have kind of gone, hey man, that's really important. Good. Yeah. And we had some great feedback from other people, like from industry folks, and like we got a handwritten letter from the Austin Film Fest going in the mail for some reason, going like, dude, it was really great. We just couldn't quite fit it into everything else, but we loved it and all that kind of stuff. And so you get those little things. But I think, the finishing, because very few people finish things.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest kind of, and I'm struggling because at the moment I'm a bit like, I just am so over the movie, and that's just what happens. Like, and everyone had warned me that you just get over, you just get sick of it, and don't read reviews because they're just going to bum you out, something shocking, or give you a false sense of hope. I mean, we've had some great reviews, but we've also had some shit reviews as well. But that's the same as my career as an actor as well. I've had some in the same show great reviews, and critics walking out in the same show. So
there's also the level of film that it is. Proper reviews, like published anywhere, even like a blog or something, is you're so excited for it because you just want anyone to see it, and you think anyone who reads this could potentially. That's why it hurts when the reviews are bad, just because you're like. You're killing the baby in the crib. Yeah. If you guys just give it some support, it might find some legs and it might get in here. And
So I think it's So I'm in a different place at the moment. Because I'm a bit like just burnt out from the movie and from like being an artist, like an actor and a filmmaker and a theatre maker, and all the things that I do is exhausting. Yeah, like you're just always on the hustle because you, like at the moment I've got a couple of little gigs lined up, but I have absolutely nothing lined up for next year. So it's back to the grind of like, okay, what the hell do I do? All that kind of stuff. So that hustle gets you down. And one of the things I think is really important, like in London, so Shell and I went to London for Raindance, and Raindance is a huge festival. Like there's so many people there and, big names and all that kind of stuff. And so it felt really cool, but you are just another film in that festival. Like you're not the opening night festival.
Yes. Yeah.
You are just another film in that festival. And we were kind of talking about it, about how much fun we had making it, and realized, and it's something I think I've known for a long time, but you forget a little bit that the only reason you can do something like make a film or make a show or write anything is because you love doing that.
Yes.
Because if you put anything else on it, it's gonna destroy you. Well, not necessarily let you down, but it's just gonna, like, it should be just about the creation. Rick Rubin talks about that. If you've ever read his book, a lot. It's just about the joy of creating. Like the rehearsal room for a show is my favorite space because you're just creating. There's no pressure yet. You don't have to nail it for the show. You're just finding it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do love about screen acting is that you don't have to nail it each take. You just keep trying until you've got it.
Yeah.
And then you can forget about it, sort of thing. And so like that joy of creation, like that's something I have to continually remind myself that's what it's about. Not, I mean, yes, you'd love more work and you'd love more money to make another one. And I mean, like we're in a good position because, the film looks great and it's finished, which a lot of people don't quite get. Film's great, good reviews, some people love it. So that's enough for people to go, oh, sweet, show us your next one. Yeah. Whether they like it or not, they're like, oh, we can't wait to see the next one. We want to see what you're doing next. Keep us in the loop. And that was always this process. This film was always about that. It was about opening doors for everyone. Like, so not just me and Shell, but for Luke to be able to go, here's something great I made.
Yeah.
And hopefully get some more work. But
on the flip side of that, I do think the worst thing you can ask a filmmaker who's just maybe at the premiere of their movie is, so what's your next one?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're at the end of that marathon, like, I don't know if I ever want to walk again.
Yeah.
When are you running the next one? It's like,
well, I must admit, I came out of Snatchers like keen to make another one. It's only now after the sort of all the distribution and the exhaustion of like getting audiences when you just don't have money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets more exhausting, like more burnt out. Because I kind of want to just push it aside and move on to the next one, but it doesn't.
It's not done. Yeah. It's like part of your job now is this promotion side of having to sit with some idiot in his garage and like talk about it over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't mind. Like I'm really enjoying this because you're talking about some interesting stuff about it, not just, tell me the story and what was your budget and like those regular Q&A questions that you always get. So yeah.
I do have one question that have been thinking about for anyone who's made a film like this, and that is if you could remake the movie tomorrow with the same level of resources, like your cast, crew, budget, financing is the same, what would you change if you could have a second crack?
Yeah, I would rewrite Act 1. Yeah.
Yeah, there is lessons you learn, isn't it? Where you just go, that doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah.
They say this too many times. I have that in mind. I said it at the Q&A for mine where I'm like, the characters just, and I remember the editor said this to me when we were cutting it.
Yeah.
He was a Colombian guy. He'd only been in Australia for like a year, so his English wasn't even that good. He learned how to swear from this movie. Yeah. But then certain things are making him laugh, and I'm like, oh, you get it? And he's like, yeah, he's saying this. But he would go like, man, they just keep talking about the plan. What's the plan? And I'm like, well, they have to. They're in the zombies outside, But when I watch it now, like that is the thing that probably sticks out the most. Where I'm like, I should have added a subplot here, or had them go do this or something.
Yeah. No, that's definitely, I would definitely rewrite, because I think there's some things that I wasn't. Yeah,
you don't know it till you see it.
Yeah, and also I think I should have trusted myself a little bit. There was a few, and Act 1 is the stuff, like so all that kind of hospital stuff is the stuff that I cringe a little bit at, because I'm like, I know what I'm trying to do, but I haven't quite got it. And some of
that's
it lands,
painful.
Some of it, some of it is perfect. Like some of it is exactly what I thought it needs to be, but some of it just didn't. And I knew that in the script, and look, I felt that in the script and didn't deal with it then.
Yeah.
Because I think the snowball just kind of happens and you're like, oh, well, I just have to shoot and deal with it. Whereas, whereas I wouldn't allow that again. If I have even that inkling that scene is not right, I would and try to fix it on the page before I have to get anywhere, you know?
What do you think you're most proud of in this project?
Doing it, finishing it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's, I'm actually pretty proud of the film. Like, it looks great, sounds great. The story's really interesting, and I think performances are great. Like, everything about it is great. Like, I'm really proud, but probably more than anything, just the fact that it's finished to a good standard, like to a really high standard. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any major regrets? Or is it just those little...
Oh, just story
things.
Story things, really. And Shell and I, talk about it occasionally. We know exactly where we went wrong, and I think that's a good thing. And that's something about the work we've always done, is you kind of debrief yourselves afterwards to work out, well, okay, what would we have done differently? And I just know I was talking to another writer friend after the Canberra screening, and I was saying that I just know there's a better version of that story.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like, I know it, and I know exactly how I would do it now, and that's the kind of regret. But I don't even know if that's a regret, because it's just like,
you can't have foreseen that. That's that's a hindsight thing.
Yeah.
I've got a lot with my movie as well, where I'm just like, the way everything is staged and blocked is terrible, and I'm like, that's just a kid who didn't know how to block a scene. Yeah, so he's like, I don't know, put the camera here. But now I'm like, you could make that so much more interesting. You could really sell the moments with camera movements and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I would be much more like, because I was coming from theatre as well, lent on Luke a little too much in that, whereas I know what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. And so I would be very much more like, no.
Did you have it all storyboarded out?
Yeah. Luke and I did storyboards.
Hand drawn?
With
some
Storyboarder.
App? Yeah.
Which is a great little... Luke loved. So Luke did most of the storyboards, and then I just fed in. I mean, the script, I'm very visual in the script anyway, so it kind of says exactly, virtually, Craig Mazin and John August. Listen to those guys. It's just that, like,
I bought their book. I'm waiting for it to come.
Man, I'm gonna get it too. Like, they just direct on the page. Like, I'm a big fan of that. Just say, and I knew I was gonna direct it anyway, so I didn't care. With all that kind of bullshit of like, don't direct on the page, it's like, no, just tell them what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty clear there, but I would be even more kind of, which is why on the next one I would prefer to be behind the camera a little bit more, because I could be more driven with some of that stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's say someone is listening to this and they're a young filmmaker and they want to be a director.
Yeah.
What skills do you think they need to possess? Like what are the actual on the ground, your personality and your skills that you should have to direct a film?
Quick processing, because you got to make decisions really quickly. I would also encourage some acting lessons, so you know what we actors do, so you can guide them or at least know where they're coming from. And I would also just don't be a dick. Like everyone says that, but we never, like I don't think I ever got shitty. But I'm pretty chill anyway, so like that probably bends. I mean, Shell was also...
She got to be the
she
bad
was
cop.
the bad cop and had to sack a few people and stuff, which is
really?
really frustrating. But, you just have to do the right thing for your team sometimes. That was kind of lucky. I won't go into the details of it, but it was kind of good because Shell and Seb took those kind of roles because they were like, no, you're on camera. You need to actually go and focus on that shit right now.
Yeah.
We'll go and deal with all this stuff. So there was a few little dramas about that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely acting skills, definitely just being able to make a decision, which I think comes back to being really clear with your vision. Like you need to know what you're wanting. Because I've been on some sets as an actor and just watching some people where they don't really know what they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, you just got to go with a strong vision. Like that, like Snatchers looks exactly like I wanted it to look. Do you know what I mean? Because I came in and this is what it looks like. This is what it is. So every question came up was this, like I'd already thought about it.
And you've been on so many sets from everything from big commercials, theatre, plays, and I assume student films, uni students. I assume they lean more towards not knowing what they want exactly or not knowing how to get it and communicate it.
Yeah. Sometimes someone's like, there's some great, like emerging filmmakers that really kind of understand. But like Caitlin's amazing on set. Like she's amazing on set. She knows exactly what she wants and also is good at like just getting a whole range of things out of actors. Brett and Kelly I really enjoy working with as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing their movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was one student thing that came through my agent once. This was a while back, and I showed up, and it was this like kind of a obscure script, but it had a name attached as the lead. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll go and do it. And I was playing the lead's husband, and I showed up, and there was all these extras out the back painting their faces to look like zombies, but like literally just kind of like really badly.
Yeah. Just putting a bit of under the eye shadow.
Yeah. And I went, oh, is there a makeup? Oh, no. And then I think they took about 3 hours to get set up for one shot. We shot that, and then it was like, they just had no idea what was going on. And I left. I went, okay, you're not going to get to my stuff, so I'll call it a day. And they're like, oh, okay. And then got in the car and went, you just need to pull me off. Like called my agent, and you just need to pull me off this project. This is the most ridiculously unorganized thing I have ever.
Yeah. You're like, I have some standards.
Yeah. And then I don't know if it ever got made or anything, but yeah. But so I've been on a couple of those ones, which are really, because most of the time it's just people that really want to just tell stories. But I also think there's a disconnect from people knowing what that actually entails and what they think it is. So
yes,
like one of the things I'm good at is knowing a lot of stuff. Like because I shoot as well, I've done audio. Like I've done all this stuff for theater, and similar with theater. Like I kind of have done all the sort of roles so I can understand it to tell the story better. Like I think a director should understand a little bit about camera and should understand a little bit about sound and should understand about production design and costume design and all that kind of stuff so that you're not kind of like, so you can make informed decisions as opposed to just like, show me something. It's like, well, sometimes you do have to do that, but like you need to just know. Yeah, because you're the leader of the team. Like they need to trust you. You can't be sitting there going, no, I don't know.
Try it like this. I don't know.
Yeah, and look, sometimes you do get to those points where it's like, I'm not really sure. Let's just fuck around and see what we find. But when you're, when you need to get a shot, like there's some there's some sequences there which we just rewriting on the spot, like, and you probably did the same, where you just like, we're not gonna have time, we need to do this, and you come back with an entirely new scene because you're like, this is what we just have to get because I just need these moments, so let's just cut everything. But I wish I'd kind of done that earlier. Yes, does that make sense? Because if you get to a point where you go, I can get away with this, I should have done that back in the draft. Yeah. Because rewriting is like, can be patchwork. Yeah. And you can be like, oh, but what about my perfectly planned screenplay? Yeah. And then you go, hey, on the day, we're not going to get this scene, but to get from here to there, we need a bit of connective tissue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you're trying to make it, And the big climax, was completely rewritten because we were running out of time. And there was a lot of stuff that we just stripped it back. And I think it works better because it's so stripped back. Like sometimes it does work better, and you go, I didn't need all that other stuff. Yeah. Concluding here, what's the best way to support you? Where can we go and see Snatchers? Yeah, so it will be in Limelight as of Tuggeranong Limelight in Canberra as of December 11. Is that a one-off or is it there for? I think it's there for a week. A week, yeah, that's amazing. I think the distributors got us for a week. Oh, look, it'll be a couple of sessions at least. I'm not expecting too much because we're such a baby at the time, like such a baby in the kind of film world. But they're being ridiculously awesome. And there'll be another couple of screenings around the country. The distributor's still lining those up, but then onto digital in the new year. You've been in they don't really tell you much. You just kind of get these little feed-ins from there. So that would be, So if you're in Canberra, obviously go and see it at the cinema because that helps a lot. But even when it ends up on digital, wherever that ends up, so if it's on iTunes, rent it for a couple of bucks, or if it's on a streamer, watch it because just those views help. Because it's really about, I'm not sure if I said this before, but this was always about having a project that gets us to make more stuff. And so the more people that watch it, whether you like it or not, helps because it's like, views. They all care about how many views you have. Yeah. Well, that's it from me. Is there anything you'd like to ask me before we wrap this up? I'd love to know, exactly how you would, similar question to you. What would you do differently for me and my mates? Just being more mature and knowing what's going on more. I could be a lot more, have a stronger vision with the extras. Being more confident to go up and talk to people and be like, I need you to stand here. I need you to do this. We're going to reshoot it like this. It's really just like assumed knowledge that I now have that I didn't have. Yeah. There are minor things like shoot it better. We didn't have enough money to build the set, that kind of stuff, which really hurts it. If I'm making the same movie with the same resources, I could definitely do it better. Yeah. But which is a frustrating feeling, isn't it? Yeah. But it's also like if you're doing something different, I think you have to be in control of everything from what the logline is to the poster to the genre to the way the trailer's going to sell, and know who that audience is and really sell to it. And we spoke a bit about this at the 10-year Q&A, where if you don't sell the movie to the audience that it's intended for, they're the ones who are, if you're a zombie fan and you're going to a zombie movie, you want to see certain things. And so it's you actually have to fulfill the promise of the movie that you've promised. But when you're like us making a really low budget, 5 guys, in your case, 3 guys in a room talking, you don't have, you're not competing with an episode of The Walking Dead or something. Yeah. You're like, this has to be small by necessity. But the audience who are watching it, most of them are never going to know the constraints the movie was made under. So it's like, can you just give them what you've promised them? Yeah. And if it's a thriller, it's got to have some twists and turns. It's got to if it's a dystopian sci-fi, they want to see those elements. That's what they've paid for. Yeah. And so that's what I really, if I'm giving anyone advice, it's know exactly who the movie's for and give them, and if promise them, give them the promise of your premise and make sure that it hits the notes that they're expecting. Yeah. And go out of your way to make sure that happens a number of times. Yeah. So if it's a zombie movie,
You
Lots
need
of zombie
you need
stuff.
some amazing zombie kills.
Yeah.
You know, you need to see all the zombie movies and go like, what's been done and what hasn't been done, and how can I do like the crazy Australian version of that or whatever it is, just so they're going, oh yeah, that's the movie that has X and Y. And if that means like we need to have a pyro budget because we need to blow up a car or whatever, it's like you actually have to do that, because if you're giving them a movie where no cars get blown up and there's not enough cool zombie kills, they're going to be disappointed. Like, and
that's really interesting, because in Raindance they put us in that kind of horror weekend, and like I hadn't pitched it to them as that, and I think, and a couple of people said, oh, I wanted gore, I wanted horror, I wanted like violence and death, and it's like, and you know, like the guy who did our Q&A and hosted us was the Horror Society of London or something like that, and he's like, I just wanted more, like I love the film, it's fun and it's great, but where's the violence and gore and the zombies? And
that's exactly what I'm talking about, because you don't have control of that.
Yeah.
Maybe you had horror as one of your subgenres when you submitted it.
Yeah.
But your movie isn't a horror movie to me, and it's not. If you're a horror fan who's like, what am I watching this Halloween?
Yeah.
I would not say you should watch Snatchers, because you're going to go, that wasn't scary. Like it's not.
Yeah.
And you're not making that movie with, this scene is meant to be tense, this scene's meant to be gory. That's not how you built it. So if someone sees it under that,
they're going to be disappointed. Yeah,
they're starting from the wrong ground.
Yeah,
and those are that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, know exactly where your film sits in genres, and just make sure it hits some of those things as well as you can.
Yeah.
Like, I also think if you're making an indie film, you do need a name, and that doesn't have to be an A-list American actor.
Yeah,
but like, find someone who's had a TV show in Australia or has some
star or a Home and Away star.
Yeah,
no, definitely. I think I resisted a lot of that just because I'm a jobbing actor in Australia anyway, and I'm like, you don't freaking need names, but the industry doesn't give a shit. They just want a name.
Someone has to be on that poster. The only reason people would be watching my movie 10 years on is because Jim Jeffries is in it.
Yeah,
and I would say if you're like setting up your feature, your indie debut feature at the moment, like whatever your budget is, add an extra 50,000 and try and find someone, because that 50,000 is going to get people to see it and review it and sell it. And if you don't have it and you just do it with unknown people, it's such an uphill struggle.
Yeah,
like it actually caps the potential to a very kind of a low amount.
Oh god, yeah.
And then there's like the one breakout every 10 years where someone makes like Paranormal Activity, where the genre and the form of the film is actually what makes it a hit, and it doesn't matter who's in it.
Yeah.
But that is so rare, and literally 10,000 other people are making something at your budget level.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they say that like horror can get away with it, but you have to be a good horror maker if you're not going to pull a cast in there. And
everyone tries to do it because you can do it cheap and you can just throw some blood on it and stuff.
But it doesn't know.
You know how good you have to be to stand out in that world?
Because you look at like Bring It Back and like those guys that are making some incredibly good horror, deep, rich stories that are like really quite character driven and just bringing the gore and the scares beautifully. Yeah. Like you can't compete.
I think it's tough. Black Phone or something.
Yeah.
It's like a $5 million budget. It stars Ethan Hawke.
Yep.
It's based on a Stephen King son's story and stuff. Like even that,
Yeah, IP also helps. I would also, this is something else about like kind of advice for those first time filmmakers. I would think about distribution as well. And it goes to what you were saying about the audience and stuff, because having kind of been through it, and I think we kind of chatted about this as well, like the distribution side of things, the traditional distribution side of things is stacked against filmmakers.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it has been forever. And I think there's ways around that if your story doesn't necessarily have to, secure the producer offset, for example, if there's a way you can kind of wrangle it, I think there's other ways to kind of get your story out there. That's happening a lot anyway, but...
Yeah. Good advice for anyone who's about to get international distribution is watch out for those minimum guarantees, because you might think that they're saying we're spending 50 grand taking your film to international sales conferences and stuff. and that's just money that you have to recoup before you see anything.
Yeah.
So it sounds good. Oh, they're going to spend $50,000 marketing this.
Yeah.
You have to make $50,000 before you even see $1 from it.
Yeah.
And they will work hard to make sure you never see anything.
Yeah.
Whereas if you hold the rights yourself,
Yeah.
you can do your own marketing and you can sell it directly to the people nowadays.
Yeah. Well, especially when you look at a lot of distributors are just putting it through an aggregator out anyway, like which you can do yourself. So why give them the money for it? But I think that's another discussion.
Yeah.
On the pitfalls of distribution.
Yes. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you, man. Great
Everyone
chat.
go see Snatchers.